So, as the sands of time runs down an end to a brilliant season, we see ourselves at the final race of the season, with this last one being a special one for us and the viewers at home. With the final race of the season being a head-to-head race between Preston and Charlie, both drivers are equal on points, fighting out for the championship one last time this season. Preston and Charlie will be able to be the writers of their own stories tonight here at Abu Dhabi. Both drivers have one hand on this championship trophy heading into today's race. This season was a season to remember as we go into this weekend not knowing how this blockbuster ends. This season has had some of the most iconic races between all drivers, but especially Preston and Charlie, as it has been a season that has caught everyone's attentions and emotions. Tonight, it's winner takes all here at Abu Dhabi. Hello everybody and welcome to Yas Marina Circuit. In today's session, we have a full qualifying and a race with 58 laps ahead of us before the checkered flag waves goodbye to this fantastic season we have had. With a season finale on a modified track, the first major changes at turn 5, which was one of the chicane before, which is no longer and now just a hairpin, and the second big change is at turn 9, which was also a chicane, which was good for overtaking opportunities. Now instead it's a banking which will be able to carry more speed through that turn. The maximum speed we'll see in today's race is 200 miles per hour and the lowest to 100 to 120 miles per hour going through turns 12, 13 and 14. In the past we have seen cars brush up against the wall coming out of turns 14. In today's race, we have a race distance of 305 kilometers and a track distance of 3.2 miles. At Yas Marina, we have 16 turns that make up this 3.2 mile layout, with 9 turns to the left and 7 to the right. This track includes 2 DRS zones and long straights, following with some slow corners which could provide some dramatic laps to the race to come. Okay, so the last 2 seasons here at Yas Marina, we have Jamie back in seasons 1 taking pole, beating Preston by 1/10 in Q3. Later in that race, Preston went on to win that race by pulling out a great strategy call about letting pass Callum and Jamie, which meant Preston became the seasons 1 drivers champion. In seasons 2, Harry got pole and beating Preston only by less than a tenth, which meant Preston for 2 seasons in a row was been beaten in qualifying. Later in that race, Carl went on to lead that race by a minute and let him win, making Carl the season's 2 drivers champion in the DFL, making him the 2nd drivers champion in the DFL within 2 seasons. So, as the time runs down, could we see Charlie become a champion and the 3rd person to do so? Or will we see Preston at the top of the record books in the DFL as we go into today's race with everything on the line between Preston and Charlie? So let's head down to the commentary box with Dan now.
Welcome everybody to the season 3 finale in Abu Dhabi. You've been here twice before and we're here for a 3rd time, and you must say it is the most exciting times of all, because as Peter detailed it correctly, Charlie and Preston on equal points. This is the first time it's happened within our DFL league, and we are here all for it. Unfortunately, we do not have Jake nor Daniel here with us today, but we do have the return of the Season 2 World Drivers Champion, of course, Carl in the McLaren, and he will be returning in Season 4. Could he become a title contender in Season 4? You never know. But before that, we must settle the World Drivers Championship battle here in Season 3. It all comes down to this race. Whoever finishes in front of who will determine who wins this championship. It's going to be a great race, and I for sure am looking forward to it. What are you expecting from today, Peter?
Well, I definitely expect Charlie and Preston to be going toe to tie. I expect nothing left between those two. Those two need to really put everything on the line. They need to be pushing that 110%, and they always need to outcome every battle. They cannot waste time when they're fighting people and when they need to make the pass. It is crucial in today's race for both drivers that they try and clear the drivers as swiftly and smoothly as quickly as possible as well, because you know everything, like I said, everything is on the line. They cannot afford to be sat behind one another. Those two will be fighting like cats and dogs. you know, it's going to be interesting to see what these guys can serve up in today's race. But, you know, I think definitely it's going to be an interesting and spicy one.
Very, very true. And it's going to be an intense one at that. Action all over the field. There will be passes, overtakes. Every overtake matters for these two to get on top of each other. But who knows how it can all end. You will have to wait till the end to find out. But currently, George sits it on provisional pole. Charlie in P2, Jamie in P3, Bradley in P4, Harry in P6, Carl, the return, of course, in P9. Also slipping out very unlucky time for Carl on his return. But yes, it's good to see him back again. Then we go down a bit to Callum, who's just retired, sticking it in P15. A very unlucky time for Callum, to be honest. But he sticks it P15. And still without a time, Preston. I saw his wing had come off. So hopefully he can keep it together in this race. But he'll be starting his time lap very, very soon.
Yeah, Preston is going to have to put this car on pole because he needs to be in front of Charlie. He cannot afford to sit behind Charlie at all in qualifying. And, you know, for him to get the advantage over Charlie, it needs to be in this lap. In today's qualifying, it has to be now. He has to give absolute everything he has got. With equal machineries, everyone is on level pegging. No advantages, no disadvantages. We have seen Preston in the past here, though. He has done amazing in the past. In the first season of DFL, he sat in the front row and then got the win. He again, in seasons 2 in qualifying, he sat on the front row and then, I can't actually remember, I think he got second place. But, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but I'm pretty sure that's where he got in seasons 2. Preston really cannot afford to DNF, but if both drivers DNF, this is a scenario that will be thrown your way. Preston will be crowned champion in today's race if both drivers, Charlie and Preston, DNF.
Of course, we do not want it to end like that, but that is the fact. If both drivers do unfortunately DNF, Preston will automatically take that World Drivers' Championship. How does Charlie prevent that from happening, truthfully?
Honestly, we saw him out in Brazil. We saw those two get a bit clingy to each other, and maybe sometimes a bit more than just a bit clingy. You know, bit of wheel banging, bit of contact. You know, all thrown into the mix last race, and you could really see it that Preston is living rent free in Charlie's head. You can see that Preston has got to him. You can just see it how Charlie was driving in Brazil. It sort of like almost rattled him. But I think Preston would have been in the lead of the championship in Brazil, but he got a 5-second time penalty, which meant in the sprint race he got dropped down to like 6th, which meant Charlie went up and Preston went down. And Preston, talking about Preston, he sat P5, and this is not what he wants. But as a banker lap, he can take that because he's only 6/10 off of Charlie's pace, but that's not what you want to see when you're the man chasing and your championship rival is all the way up into 2nd place.
Exactly. He will be looking to get up a few more places, build that time up, because both men know they need to be the one on top. They need to be the one with a better getaway. They need to be the one who finishes up the top of the grid, because that is how they will win this World Drivers' Championship. There is no, if he gets 8th or higher, if he gets 9th or below. No, there is nothing like that. It all comes down to who scores the more points today. That's what equal points gets you. But what I would hate is if both drivers don't DNF, but don't score points.
I mean, it's another scenario. Like, I mean, if say Charlie got P9, which is 2 points, and then Preston got the P10 and the fastest lap, that would still make them equal points, and it mean Preston would win. So either way, there's definitely scenarios out there that can really make the situation seem a bit more dramatic than we want it to. But obviously, the return of Carl, he has DNF'd in qualifying. His best lap is a 1:26.3. So he will be starting 10th, maybe lower, depending on what everyone else does with their final times. George is now currently on provisional pole with a 1:32.5, and Charlie, he is currently about 8 tenths off of George's provisional pole time. Let's see what Charlie can do. Maybe he can just go quicker, or maybe he might be sitting a tenth or two behind George. We will not know. But this man we're all looking at, the man who's been chasing all season, Preston, he really needs to make the move now to get out and to get another lap in, or as it could be too late. And another person who we didn't clock that retired was Jamie with a 1:24.7, which means he's currently sat third. But can Bradley improve and move past Jamie into P3?
Potentially. We know that Bradley does have the pace. We know, we've seen it in Monza in Japan, and his recent win, his first ever DFL win in Netherlands, that he does have the pace. Will he pull it out today though? That is a true question. We know he can do it, but it's whether he wants to really show it today.
I mean, it's not really if he really wants to show it. I mean, every driver wants to show their true pace on every track, but not every track is suited to every driving style on this grid. I mean, you know, so it can be very interesting, but, you know, I'm sure Bradley could pull something marvellous out of the bag and put it on the front row. Who knows what will happen, but at the moment it doesn't look like Bradley will be able to probably beat that time, as he's still currently sat at the pits. Preston is now on the outlap. This is what he needs to be doing. He needs to be on that track when Charlie's out there.
Yes, very true. He needs to be able to get the time that Charlie is potentially losing in the corners, find the apex, and home in on it, if you get what I mean, and just fly through it and get whatever time he can out of those corners. But Charlie will be looking to do the exact same thing. He'll be looking to take that provisional pole position today, and we know that Charlie is beyond capable of taking that provisional pole. He is beyond capable of winning this championship, as is Preston. Both contenders are absolutely capable of winning a championship, and whoever wins it today, no matter the result, it will be an amazing race.
Yeah, I mean, either way, this race will go down in DFL history. I mean, I'm watching the man that could potentially break and set a new record in the DFL. With currently, he is the guy with the most wins in the DFL. He could be the guy in today's race with the most championships under his name, or he could still have but one, and Charlie could equal him in championship terms.
Of course, we know that Preston has won, Carl has won. Can Charlie join the bandwagon of everyone who has won World Drivers' Championship today? Or, as you say, will Preston set the new record of the most World Drivers' Championships held by one single person?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a nice record for him to be set. And I mean, can we just appreciate? I mean, I remember mentioning this like a long time ago, maybe a month ago, maybe like in terms of races, maybe about like 6 to 7 races ago. But Preston said that you'd have this championship wrapped up before Abu Dhabi, and look how it has turned out now.
To be fair, I did ask him about this the other day, and he said he meant it as a joke. But who knows whether he did actually or not. But it is what it is. We've mentioned it enough times. We move on now. We cannot do anything about the past. We cannot change the past. We cannot change any penalties, anything that has affected this championship in any way. It has all come down to this. Equal points. Both contenders ready to take this championship with the grasp of their hand. But who will be the one to truly hold on and take the prize here today?
I mean, I don't know. I think my money's currently set on Charlie because, you know, he's been on the ball all season. He's been the man to beat all season. He has had the pace all season. And, you know, I think that Charlie if he can control his pace, keep it cool-headed for these 58 laps, he might have this wrapped up. You know, Preston, you know, he had the chance to actually take this championship and lead the championship several races ago. Netherlands, we had, I can't remember, there's a couple other races. He shouldn't, I don't think he should really have DNF'd in Portugal, which cost him points. Yeah, I think there might be other ones, but I think if he hadn't if he was able to maintain the win in the Netherlands and not come down to that fuel issue that he had, and if he didn't DNF in Portugal, I probably would put my money on Preston, purely because of the gap he could have on Charlie going into tonight's race. But you know, everything happens for a reason, and you know, it's brought us to here, and it's going to give us the joy and satisfaction to watch these two grown men just go at it, and just give it everything their all. And you know, it will come down to pure determination and will, or whether those two want it, and it's who wants it more than the other. One could become a one-time world champion, and the other can set a record. I mean, it is really phenomenal how these drivers, well, how these two have gone at it all season.
Very true, and you can see the respect there between the drivers. Of course, Preston letting Charlie pass, let him continue his fast lap. There is no bitterness between these two. There is only respect for each other and for the fact that they are fighting for this championship. At the same time, they're not going to make it more difficult for each other. They're going to allow each other to get the best out of each other they can, so the person who comes out on top can say, I beat the best of you.
And Charlie messed up that last part of his lap, and I'm sure that might have cost him maybe provisional pole. As Preston, he has just chose to pit, which means he will be starting behind his championship rival. And you know, for a man who's had such a good record round here, or such a good pace around this track, it really, I don't know, I mean, it's unusual for Preston. I mean, I didn't expect him to be this well in the top 5. I mean, his time can still be beaten by Harry.
Charlie's pulled over to the side, an engine failure or something, I'm guessing. But
no, he retired because
he's retired.
He just retired. There's no dramatic. I mean, I don't really take note on retirements just because it's only qualifying. So you know, I mean, if it was a retirement in a lap when they spun out and crashed, then you know, fair enough. Cam Bradley crossed the line, and he does cross the line, but he does not improve and stays P4. So this is a good start, and he's on the second row for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
And here is your qualifying leaderboard very quickly. George sticks it on provisional pole. Charlie gets the better out of Charlie and Preston and sticks it in P2. Jamie in P3. Bradley in P4. Preston unfortunately goes P5, but he'll be looking to work his way back up. Whether he can beat Charlie or not is the question we're all wondering. Harry in P6. Carl jumps down to P12, and I believe Callum is all the way, unfortunately, down in P20 due to a DNF. That is your qualifying leaderboard rundown, people. We're going to get straight into this very long race. Do not miss it, people. It's time for the championship to be decided. And here we are for the Abu Dhabi formation lap, people. The one race where the championship is decided between the current P2 holder, Charlie, and the current P5 holder, Preston. So it's about to get really interesting. Can Preston catch up to Charlie? Can Charlie stay ahead of Preston and secure more points? It's all the variables. Will one of them get DNF? Will both of them get DNF? Will both of them score no points? Will one of them score points? There are so many variables going into this championship fight, but it can all be decided today in this 58 lap race, people. Do not miss it. It is time to find out who is the best of the best.
Yeah, I hope everyone is locked and loaded in today's race, because I'm telling you, these drivers are going to give it them all. and you know, it's going to be interesting how this one plays out in today's race, because you know, Preston is going to be the one chasing in today's race, and Charlie is going to be the one defending. Now, this is the thing. I've looked at strategy, and you know, George is going for that I'm pretty sure a 2-stop in today's race. Oh no, is it a 3-stop? I think it's I'm pretty sure it's like a 2 to 3 stop. He's starting on the softs, so this is Charlie is on the mediums. Jamie is also on the softs. Bradley, he's also on the softs. Preston on the mediums. Harry on the softs. Quite an interesting set of strategies here. We got Carl, he's also on the softs. And what will Callum be doing? He is also on the softs. I hope everyone is ready, because I know I certainly am, to watch this race get underway. Dan, handing it back to you, brother.
It is time, people, for the very last time within Season 3. Before we move on to Season 4, of course, do not miss it within a few weeks. But anyway, it is time for the championship to be decided. Only one can come out on top from this race. Only one can take this championship home. Will it be Charlie for the first time? Will it be Preston for the second? You're about to find out, because it's lights out and away we go for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix in Season 3. Charlie gets a great start, but potentially cannot catch up to George. George is sprinting away. Now Preston does not make up a place. Both contenders still in their places. Carl unfortunately drops down quite a bit to P16. Callum stays in P20. Most of the guys stay where they are now, but Harry overtakes Preston here.
No, but Preston back down the inside into the turn 5 hairpin. Preston is sort of falling behind right now behind Bradley. This is not what he wants. He has Harry attacking him in the rear wing right now. I'm sure that's not what Preston wants to see, as Harry fakes it for the dummy. And will Harry go down the inside? Oh, he has to back out. Preston goes slightly wide into that chicane area, but Preston comes back out on top. Will Harry do everything for his soon-to-be teammate for Season 4? Will he try to do everything to help him and maybe slow Preston down as much as he can? Charlie, he's dropped the position to Jamie, which is crucial in the championship. As Preston, I think he's just been let pass by. No, he has not yet. But Bradley sort of cuts him off and sort of squeezes them.
Oh my God!
And Fernando Alonso, he squeezes them and he has to concede 2 more places because of that Bradley incident. And that's a slap 1 safety car already here at Abu Dhabi.
Unbelievable. It's already a safety car. It's utter chaos. I think it also had something to do with Carl, because he got a 5-second penalty for an incident we didn't really see. But yes, Preston now down in P7, Charlie in P3. Charlie only dropped 1 position, Preston drops 2. Both contenders want to get to the top of the pack, but only one can do it, and right now it is Charlie in P3 and on top between the 2 championship contenders.
Yeah, both Harry and Bradley and Fernando Alonso separate Charlie and Preston, which is not what Preston wants to be seen right now. I'm sure he wants to be seeing Charlie in that Alpine as close as possible, to know that he's somewhat near close to Charlie, so that he knows that he can, you know, sort of relax a bit and not push as hard. So, but, you know, he still needs to clear these 2 and to get past and maybe start fighting Charlie for this championship.
Yes, but can Preston find a way through? Can he overtake Fernando Alonso? Can he get past Harry? Can he get past Bradley? Do we need to look into that incident with Bradley as well? I mean, was it quite dangerous? I didn't really get a good perspective on it.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that we should have Stewart's intervene in the last race of the season. It only causes controversy. I think whatever happens on the track happens, unfortunately. And, you know, as hard as that is for me to say that, you know, I think, you know, as soon as you start altering decisions after a race is done, you know, the race was pointless. You know, if it's not decided during the race, then, you know, it's hard to, to be able to do that. To look into an incident. We don't have that fortune of being able to, was that dangerous or not, and that's something we probably should be able to have the luxury of, maybe somewhat in the future. But I think. For a second there, Charlie was gonna let Bradley by, but it was just Charlie slowing down. But yeah, I think either way, Bradley was. It was just a racing incident. Nothing major happened. I mean, yeah, should have Bradley given him more room. He did have a lot more room in the right. He did squeeze Preston out, but that's also his right. He's the car in front. He's the one defending. He's allowed to squeeze him out. And as long as he's not doing any harm, no harm, no foul.
That is true, but we have to look. You say about Stewart's not getting involved. You have to look from the other perspective. You are a championship contender. You've just been potentially lost 2 places due to someone potentially cutting you up slightly. You'll want that investigated, won't you? Either way, whether it happened to Charlie, whether it happened to Preston, both would want that investigated straight away. So we'll see what happens after the race, but who knows what can happen. But as you say, it should be decided within the race. It should be decided out on track and with pure driver skill. But sometimes you have to intervene when things get dirty and awful. But was that good enough for an intervention? Who knows?
I mean, it's nothing major. I mean, if he had spun him out, then I would say, yeah, quickly get someone in and sort this out. But also at the same time, it's only at the start of the race. It's only lap 1. I could understand if it was way down the race, like if it was like lap 40 or like onwards, then I would have been like, okay, right, that probably should be looked at. But because it's at the start of the race, it's considered racing incident and nothing major happened.
Fair enough, fair enough. I doubt any further investigations will be looked into it. But now the safety car still leads the pack. George has to get a good getaway here to stay on top. Charlie will also be looking to get a good getaway. But also, having lost the position to Jamie, he'll have Jamie to fight with. But he has Bradley behind him as well. Charlie has a lot of competition, but so does Preston. He has the AIs around him, and then Harry and Bradley in between him and Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie doesn't really need to make any unnecessary moves at this rate, but I'm sure he will. So he has that luxurious of I'm sure he has that luxury of being able to have those drivers behind him, and that's going to be Preston's work cut out for him right there. He has to really clear him as fast as possible, and like I said in qualifying, you have to be swish and smooth with these moves. You need to get it done quickly and as painlessly as possible, because I'm telling you, it is not going to end well if you keep fighting for a long amount of time. And as the safety car is coming in this lap, George is leading the the pack now as he controls the pace. He will have lead Jamie to Charlie. It's going to be interesting what George will do. But as the lights have gone green, George will slow everyone down, and as he's on the softs, as well as Jamie, George will probably get a better launch away from the rest of the pack, depending on what he can do, on how he does this restart. I'm sure he'll slow them down and then make them think that he's going to go faster and then stop all of a sudden. But here we go, George rounding the final corner, and he's about to start another lap of 3.2 miles around Abu Dhabi. Lights are out and we're racing back to racing conditions again. Jamie wants to give George a bit of a tussle into turns 1, but George able to hold it. Charlie now at the back of Jamie's car. He almost gives.
Oh my God!
Jamie now made Jamie go round, and Charlie, he's now into P3 and now to P2. But he had to cut that corner there. I have no idea what he did there, but he certainly did tap Jamie's back with the rear ring there. Sort of pushed him through that corner near the pit exit. Charlie up into P2. Harry P3. Preston, he's now P4. That is what he needs at this very moment. Will Preston make a move? He'll have to wait a minute. He knows that Harry will probably defend Preston in today's race, as these two will, well, Harry and Charlie will be teammates for next season. But Preston needs to get past Harry as quickly as possible, because it will harm his race if he can't. As Preston, he fakes to go down the inside of Harry, but he doesn't, and then he's going to hold it. Harry goes wide into that banking area. They go wheel to wheel through this turn. This is where he got pushed off by Bradley. He's going to get he almost gets squeezed out again by Harry. He's going to have to sit behind, but Preston is losing time. He needs to get past Harry right now. It is crucial for the championship. It's crucial for him if he wants to become that two-time world champion, as George goes quickest of them all with a 130 point flat. And now a new lap of lap 6 starts. Will Preston get past Harry on this very lap?
That's what he'll be aiming to do, but whether he'll be able to pull it off is another question. 5-second penalty to Bradley for speeding in the pit lane, and a very unlucky penalty there for Bradley. But no matter, now Preston trying all he can to catch up to Harry, but Harry is defending him like Sergio Perez was defending Lewis Hamilton back in Abu Dhabi 2021. This is like a rerun of all of it, to be honest. But now Preston trying all he can to catch up to Harry here. Getting ever so close. He needs a good getaway out. He's got a little slip off the rear there. Affects his time, and Harry's able to get a good getaway and take Preston out of the DRS zone. Preston will not be liking that. He'll be wanting to hunt down Harry for all he can. But now it seems like Charlie is getting a huge gap on Harry here, making sure that there is actually no way for Preston to come back. But it's not at that point yet. There's a lot of work for Charlie to do for it to reach that point.
Yeah, Preston right now, he is looking a bit desperate at this very moment. He is 1.2 seconds now 1.1 behind Harry. He needs to find that time again, as Harry is on the softs. But I know Harry's on the softs, and I know he'll be pitting soon, but he cannot afford to sit behind Harry forever, because it will cost him for this race. I'm sure he can find that inner himself from season 1 and pull out a master strategy call from himself, and possibly go on to beat Charlie in this race. But that is soon to be told, and whether if he can do that or not will soon be told at the end of the 58 laps ahead of us.
Something we haven't noticed, apart from the top 4, everyone else is out of the points. Callum P13, Carl P16, Jamie P17 and Bradley P19. What the hell has happened to those guys down there?
Well, you know, their incidences have costed them to be down now. That's why. I mean, it's pretty obvious to see that's why they're down there. I mean, there's nothing more to it other than they've got unlucky with incidences, and that they are, you know, currently sat down trying to make their way up again. As Carl, he is looking to try and make a pass on Sergio Perez, but he has Sergio Perez's teammate behind him, Jamie. Jamie is gaining on Carl right now as we speak. Soon, probably, I think he is becoming a season's 4 driver for next season. And you know, this is what a way to, well, let's see if he can end this season as well as he started it, or should I say, you know, try making a better impact than he did in his first race of season 3.
Very true. The reigning defending champion currently until the end of this race, showing potentially what he could bring to season 4, and it would be great to see Carl back in that championship fight once again, and potentially get a massive championship battle going from the start. Who knows what to expect now, but Press is still not able to make up the time to Harry. Harry is pulling some brilliant defending, allowing Charlie to create a bigger and bigger gap here.
Yeah, Charlie, you know, he is, the gap is getting bigger and bigger, but Preston, he has got DRS on Harry, my bad there. He does have DRS on Harry, but he just seems to be losing time through sections that he probably shouldn't, that he cannot afford to lose, shall I say, because these sections are the most crucial sections to be gaining time and being able to, you know, find that time where you need to be pushing at 110%.
Very true, but can Preston push to that 110%, or will he lack that courage to attack Harry? And will Harry's masterclass defending hold off Preston from attacking Charlie? I mean, Charlie is doing brilliantly right now. He's creating a bigger and bigger gap, obviously with the help of Harry, but he's still keeping it up there, making sure not to pull any risky moves or anything. But we do know Harry's track record here in Abu Dhabi. 2 seasons he's DNF'd here now. What if he DNFs again? That just breaks the entire chain that, you know, Charlie and Harry have right now. And Preston is free to go at Charlie as he will.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he actually needs to be making any risky moves. He has no risky moves to be making apart from, you know, pushing his car quicker than George. But talking about pushing his car, is Preston. He almost had his rear end step out there for a second, trying to catch Harry through the chicane area. He looked quite good, and he seems to be catching him up even more. The gap is now 0.6 of a second, but he won't be able to get him on this lap or using DRS. Going through the banking in turn 9 now, heading into turns 10, 11 and 12.
But can Harry hold Preston off? Can Harry pull out, as I said before, some masterclass defending, or will Preston find a way through Harry and take that P3 spot to attack his championship contender, Charlie? It's all coming down to this. Preston is gaining on Harry. Will Preston make it past Harry or not? That is the reason we are all watching, to see whether Preston can make it past Harry and attack Charlie in the end and make this championship fight even more interesting.
Yeah, I think Harry's tyre wear is actually dying off at this very moment. He seems to be losing pace where he was looking quite good, as Preston will surely pass him on this lap. This is crucial for the championship, as he has a slingshot down this long straight. Will Preston make the move? Harry swerving side to side to make Preston a bit more difficult and a bit nervy to make the pass. But will Preston make the move? He does make the move. He's up into P3 and he's now behind his championship rival, but he still has Harry to defend, as Harry still has that DRS, as they both go wheel to wheel down the straight. Harry takes the position and Harry's back out in front.
Harry is not giving up. He wants to see his future teammate. Oh my god!
Preston, he's now made that brilliant move. Harry goes back through, and it's brilliant racing between these two. Preston just slips his car up and inside into the banking area, and Harry did not expect it and got straight past him, as Preston touches the rear end of Harry there a little bit. But you can tell that Preston is pushing 100% now. You can tell he's got that confidence in the car. You can see that he's faster than Harry. He surely should be getting past Harry anytime soon. But I'm sure Preston will be frustrated that he hasn't got that move done or hasn't stayed in front.
Somehow, oh sorry.
Preston will have DRS coming down towards 10.5. That's where the detection point is, as the gap between Preston, Harry and Charlie is almost 5 seconds now. This fighting is helping out Charlie massively, as Preston once again has DRS down this long straight. He will be a slingshot again. Will he be able to make the move like he did last time round the outside of Harry? He won't this time, just because he's a bit too far behind, but it's a nice trail breaking into this chicane area. Now he goes up. Oh no! And Preston touched the rear end of Harry there a little bit, and I don't know how to talk about. I don't know what to say.
Both championship contenders now not hitting into someone accidentally. What do we do here? I mean, the fact is Preston has once again hit Harry. A very unlucky time for him, to be honest. He's currently in P4 due to Yuki Tsunoda taking advantage and getting that P3 position. But how do we play this? We said before about letting the championship being decided on track. But when incidents like that are happening, you have to take in consideration maybe using the stewards and potentially seeing what can be done about it, you know?
Yeah, I'm seeing if I can get something done about it now, but yeah, we're sure we'll be getting that looked at.
Oh, Preston slipped out!
He spun himself round, and Carlos Sainz is through now. This is not how the man who's been chasing this championship the whole season will want it to end.
Not at all. Preston thought he was through, but no, Carlos Sainz comes back and takes that P3 position due to Yuki Tsunoda pitting. Carlos was like, nah, I'm getting in my way now. You're not getting past me. But now Charlie has a 13-second gap between Carlos Sainz and him. How the hell will Preston make up that time?
I don't know. He needs to hope now. In a safety car might come his way. I don't know. This is absolutely not gone his way. You know, I think that trying to get past Harry was a little bit ambitious there. But also, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, it's a little bit iffy on what went on there. But I actually have no clue. I'm lost for words of what's actually gone on there. That's the second time in 2 races that Preston has done that same thing to Harry. But if that's happening, surely there's something to be blamed on Harry's part as well, you know.
Who knows, is it the fact that maybe Preston's going too fast into the corner or Harry's going too slow round the corner? You have to look both ways.
As Preston is in the pits now, he is going to pit at lap 13 out of 58. He does choose to go on another set of mediums, so he's going to mediums to hards probably.
I believe those are the hards, yeah. No, they're on the mediums. He's back on the mediums.
Yeah, that's literally what I said.
I thought you said mediums. Yeah, okay. Mix up there. Me being stupid. Preston back on the mediums now. He will be looking to push, but Charlie has taken P1 here.
Yeah, Charlie's only pitted. No, Charlie's not pitted. Charlie's only in P1 because of George pitting, as he's still in that top 3, and that is great stuff from George. He's still in that top 3 whilst he pitted onto the mediums. So could George be doing softs to mediums, or who knows what he will be doing, as he has to now get past Carlos Sainz into maybe to catch up to Charlie. Will Charlie pit now, or will he continue on going? We do not know, as George Russell has retired at the exit of turn 5.
Unlucky time for George Russell for sure, but Charlie will be pushing like no other person has pushed before to make sure he gets as big as a gap. Yes, Preston is shot down to P12, but he still wants to create such a big gap that there is no way back for Preston. And I must say, a very unlucky time for Preston. Although we don't know whose fault that incident was, you have to feel for the guy anyway. He was so, you know, close to getting a second championship. I'm not writing him out right now, but he's P12 and Charlie's P1 with an enormous gap between them.
Yeah, they've got a massive gap. Preston has to do the recovery drive of a lifetime right now. He has to have the pace of a blimmin' cheetah right now to get through this whole pack and catch up to Charlie, or be somewhat near him towards the end of that race, because if not, it is lights out for that championship for him.
Very true, and the question is, will this make Preston want to go for the championship next season, or will this sort of make him feel like, oh, I don't know anymore, I've tried it this season, it hasn't worked out, you know? What's the point? But I think he might push for it next season. I don't know. Who knows?
No matter how big the fall is, you always need to. It's always about how you get up. It's and George, he spun himself. He's gone round into the corner of turn. I'm pretty sure that's turn 15. That is now. Yes, that is turn 15. George went round and is now spun, but he's still in that P3 slot. And he's still got a healthy gap, but will that have cost him the undercut under Charlie?
George will be absolutely regretting trying to make that move there, but it did not work out. He slipped out, and now Charlie is getting ever more away now from George and every other driver. Basically, all the drivers are so separated on this grid. It is unbelievable, but Charlie must be loving this right now. He is P1. The World Drivers' Championship could potentially be within his grasp if he can keep it going like this.
Yeah, this would definitely win Charlie the championship, but let's not forget, you know, when Lewis Hamilton was leading and dominating the race and Max Verstappen wasn't having a great time, boom, a safety car happened and it changed it all for Max Verstappen. Maybe tonight maybe the safety car will change the likes of what will happen in this championship tonight with Preston, and maybe might alter or swing more his way, or might come neutral on who gets the that. But as Charlie, he does now decide to pit, and I think George just might be able to get that undercut under Charlie. We will not know until it could be very close between those two, as George is literally just moments away. He might just be able to get past Charlie here on the exit of the pit lane. Will Charlie be out in front, or will George be in front? Who knows? Charlie is out in front, and he's just only by 1.3 seconds out in front of George.
Charlie has drove brilliantly so far today, stuck it straight up front in qualifying. I know he was only P2, but still up the top of the grid. Now straight up in P1, but he does have George currently on him. Can Charlie successfully defend off the Alfa Romeo of George?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. George is looking quite quick right now compared to Charlie's pace. You know, despite George having that spin, George is still literally a second behind him. And you know, Charlie's best time is in the 130s, and George is lapping in the 129s, 128s. George is seconds quicker than Charlie, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if George got past Charlie in these next couple of laps. But we will not know until that happens right now. But Preston now up into P10 after what happened. Harry up into P6, Bradley P13, Callum P14, Carl P16, and Jamie in dead last at P18.
A very unlucky time for Jamie being down at bottom. An unlucky return for Carl being down in P16. Callum and Bradley, former competitors at a position. Now Bradley has stormed off with his win, of course, and a very lucky time for him in Netherlands. I'm sure he enjoyed that party. But yes, those two are no longer in contention, fighting for a place. Now Preston is potentially looking for an overtake on the AlphaTauri on Pierre Gasly here.
Preston needs to get past Pierre Gasly as quickly as possible, as the gap is only 1/10, should I say. But George, he also has DRS and Charlie, so it shouldn't be long before George makes his move on the leader and the championship leader right now.
The thing is,
he now moves up to P5.
The thing is, if George starts attacking Charlie, that will slow Charlie down, because he will not be able to get away from George, and the amount of defending Charlie will have to do will definitely affect his pace, which may give an opening to Preston if he can weave his way through the cars on this track. Of course, the challenge being Harry. Can he make it past Harry after the previous incident or not?
We will not know until after another 40 laps of racing round Yas Marina circuit. But George, he is pushing Charlie like hell right now through this track, and I'm sure this could be killing Charlie's tyre wear right now. Maybe it would be killing George's as well, but George could be smarter and be saving it that little bit more, where Charlie will have to defend and probably use it a bit more where George does. So when George does go to pit again, I'm sure George will try and pit around the same time as Charlie, if not before, and get that undercut like he was going to do and almost achieve on Charlie.
But can George push and push and push to find the gap he will be needing to get past Charlie here? He'll be wanting to see that gap, but George is up to him completely to drive his heart out and get past the championship leader.
Yeah, Preston now up into P8. He is making moves now. He is really turning on the burners now. He is really wanting to get this championship, and I'm sure he will try and achieve it by the end of this race, if not sooner. If something happens with like a safety car, we will not know. But the gap between George and Charlie is only 0.6 tenths right now. So Charlie not being able to break that 1 second barrier or split them by 1 second, so that Charlie can have some breathing room with what's going on right now. And I'm sure Charlie will not be happy that he has George behind him trying to attack him on, you know, on the track, trying to get past him. I mean, it won't really affect Charlie that much, but I'm sure Charlie will want to at least get the same amount of wins as Preston this season, and the same amount of championship as George. Oh, for a second there, he went through Charlie there, but as George makes the move now on Charlie, he's now up into that P1 position, and now he is leading this race, but he has Charlie still behind him with the DRS. Will Charlie open up the DRS? He does open up the DRS, and will he go into the turn 9 banking, going round the outside, or maybe down the inside? He will choose to go round the outside. He's a bit too far back this time. As he goes a bit wide, he'll have carry a bit more momentum through the banking compared to George, as George slightly goes wide onto the double curbs, and he was able to maintain that P1, and George now back out in front where he once was. Preston now, he is catching Lewis Hamilton by tenths upon each corner he does. So Preston is pushing his car to the absolute limits and driving his heart out this race, because I'm sure he will want to try and get the second championship, as as Bradley now retires the Abu Dhabi race, and now it will probably not be a safety car at all. I think Bradley's too far off track for that to happen.
A very unlucky time for Bradley. His first ever Abu Dhabi race within the DFL. He'll be wishing that he did not DNF and hoping to get a better race come season 4 Abu Dhabi. But of course, you got a lot of races between then and now, with what I believe is 11 drivers for season 4. Yes, 11 mad drivers. You will hear the driver and track breakdown probably after this video, a week after this video, if not 2 weeks potentially, because we may have an interesting video coming before then, who knows. But yes, Preston now looking to get past Lewis Hamilton. Can he get past him? I mean, just to talk about something else, I don't know if it's true, but Charlie had a 17-second gap between him and Fernando Alonso, but because Charlie is having to attack George, he's being slowed down completely, and now Fernando Alonso is catching up, which means Preston has a chance to catch up, and this championship fight can get ever so more interesting between the two contenders potentially.
Yeah, I think the gap was quite big between those two, but it has dropped massively between those him and his teammate. And well, the constructors champions, those two they are. So there's no team orders in today's race, I'm sure, as it really wouldn't affect Charlie if he even dropped down to P3. But I'm sure Charlie doesn't want drop down to P3 because he wants to be able to have the best opportunity come a situation like a safety car.
Very, very true. And now Preston seems to be catching up to a Lewis Hamilton with a 0.3 second gap. No DRS yet, but I bet he's about to get it and get past the Mercedes here. He'll be up to P7, hunting Yuki Tsunoda if he can get this move done with the DRS. ERS going now on the potentially the outside of Lewis Hamilton. Lewis pulls to the inside now. Preston makes that move done, and Lewis cannot hold that position. Preston up to P7, now hunting the Alpha Atari of Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah, Preston now pitching on the burners, but he has to, before he puts on those burners, he has to defend Lewis Hamilton through turn 9 banking, and then he is then set free and to attack Tsunoda, as it is a 1.3 second gap between those two.
Preston will be doing all he can to defend off Lewis, whilst going off on the attack for Yuki Tsunoda here. He will be trying all he can to get back up to meet Charlie once again, but that gap between Fernando Alonso and Charlie is back to 17 seconds. 17 whole seconds Preston has to make up, plus whatever is in between hit Preston and Fernando Alonso.
Yeah, Preston really has to get a move on with getting on with this pace and making moves, as he needs to make these moves as quickly as possible. Like I said, you know, he needs to make them swiftly and smoothly as possible, because it will affect them overall, and you know, come later on in the race it could be crucial.
It really could. So Preston needs to push all he can now, but Harry now up to P3. Charlie will be loving that. He will have his Minister of Defence parked in P3 for any attacks coming in if Preston is to catch up to them. Will Harry be able to hold off Preston for a second time if that is to happen?
I mean, I don't know. We saw that Preston was faster, but I mean, we don't know. Maybe that could have been down to Harry's tyre wear, but we won't know entirely for sure.
But now Charlie will be loving the fact he is up in P2, Harry in P3. Preston trying to push all he can. He has not one but two cars in front of him, Yuki and Sergio. If he can get past these two, he'll have Fernando Alonso, and that will be it. He'll have the final stretch of Harry and then Charlie.
Yeah, I have this feeling that something could happen, as Preston, he has to go over the rumble strips there to maybe avoid some contact as he now concedes, I think, another 2 positions, and that's some of his work undone now, and it will cost him now. But he will have to get past Hamilton again. I think he will have DRS on Hamilton into this turn 5 hairpin. He seems faster than Hamilton at this very moment. Will Hamilton have DRS? He does not. Preston does have DRS, and he will be using that ERS. He doesn't have much of it left, as he's been draining it most of this race, as he's chosen to go around the outside. Late on the brakes, Preston is, but he's made the move stick and he's made it work. And now through the chicane, he's now up into P7 again, but he has to defend Hamilton through this long straight and then into the banking to then before he can really start attacking Tsunoda once again.
And it seems like he has successfully defended off the Mercedes, and now he can target the Alpha Atari of Yuki Tsunoda here and potentially push once again up the grid. But we're going to dive down a bit right now. Callum in P12, Cole in P13, Jamie in P14. If all 3 of those come together, what a battle that could be.
All season 2's OG, so could be very interesting to see what goes on with those lot. But at the moment, they're just kind of fighting for the wooden spoon at this current moment. So nothing really major, but you know, maybe something pride between those 3.
Very true, and it'd be a battle that I would honestly love to see. But who knows whether we will truly get to see it or not. But now an 18-second gap between Charlie and Harry. I do believe Harry is going that bit slower to create an even bigger gap to make sure Charlie takes his championship.
Yeah, I'm sure that Preston will have a hard time ahead of him as he follows through with Yuki Tsunoda. As he made the move on Sergio Perez, and now Preston followed through with Tsunoda, and now could be potentially overtaking Tsunoda to get him up into that P5 position after 2 Mercedes and Red Bull fight away into the banking, going wheel to wheel. Who will come out in front? Will Sergio Perez come out in front? No, Lewis Hamilton does. And now through the banking into turns 12. Hamilton in front. Preston into turns 13 and 14 will be sitting right behind that rear wing of Yuki Tsunoda, and Tsunoda will have his work cut out in front of him to defend Preston as much as he can and stop him as quickly as possible, but that doesn't seem possible at this very moment as Preston, he pulls to the outside. He has Preston in his around the outside. Preston goes around the outside, he makes the move work, he goes off track, but he makes it stick up into P5. Preston now, he is on the move and on the way to the front. He has a 4.8 second gap separating him and Fernando Alonso.
Will he be able to close that gap? And if he can overtake Fernando Alonso, will he be able to overtake Harry and then either build up that gap and close the gap between Harry and Charles? And there, Yuki Tsunoda attacks Preston again, but Preston still defending very nicely and holding off Yuki Tsunoda here. Bailey is absolutely loving the fact that his old teammate is attacking a championship contender, but all three cars go wheel to wheel into the banking, but Preston makes it through on top, through onto P5. What a battle we are seeing here between Preston and the two AIs of Lewis Hamilton and Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah, it was a great scrap between those three. A free abreast into turn 9. Fernando Alonso into pits. This is giving the Preston the freedom to move up into P4, and now Preston is sat right behind Harry, the man he had his incident with towards the end of like lap 10 or lap 11. I can't remember exactly, but I'm sure Preston will take it a bit more cautiously this time as he is slowly gaining, not by much. He will try and gain though. He is faster than Harry. He is about 5/10 quicker than Harry and about a tenth slower than his championship rival.
Preston must push all he can to catch up to Charlie and Harry to fight for the right to have a second World Drivers' Championship. Harry must pull out the best defending of his life to help his teammate Charlie take his first World Drivers' Championship. I mean, what a redemption story that would be. He starts in season 1, has to leave after 2 races, comes back in season 3 to win the World Drivers' Championship. What a story that would be, but it's all down to what Harry and Preston can do.
Oh no, and that's given Preston a bit more time, and that has slowed Harry down, and that's given Preston a bit... Oh, no! Preston spun it as well!
Preston pushed so much, but he let it go again, going down to P5, needing to go into the pits now. It's all gone wrong again for Preston.
And that, I have to say, if there is nothing that can be... Oh no, man, I can't believe that. I'm sure Preston's heart would be absolutely pounding, and I'm sure it won't be happy with what's just happened there.
Not at all. I hate to say it, but I don't think there's a way for Preston could potentially catch up. Now, I'm not saying he's not capable. I'm not saying that he's not a brilliant driver, but from P14 all the way up to P2, when Charlie has a 25-second gap between him and Harry, the odds does not seem to be in Preston's favour.
Yeah, I'm sure Harry, I'm sure Charlie will surely have this championship wrapped up. Whether he wins this race or finishes second, he will finish a season that he will surely remember. But we will not write this off just yet with 30 laps left of this race to go.
Oh,
Anything is
Carl,
possible.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but Carl is gaining on Callum now. Potentially gonna look for the other two. We haven't seen a battle like this since season 2. Welcome back, Carl. Oh, he's going into the pits. Climactic end to that battle. That went so. I was so excited. I was like, a season 2 battle. Oh my god, it's gonna be great. Oh no, we get denied it. But Callum sits now in P7. A pretty good position for Callum. He has been Mr. Consistent over this season, scoring points nearly every single race. That's pretty good going for Callum. But now Preston sits here in P13. The Season 2 World Drivers Champion sits here in P14. Jamie sits here in P16. Not a lucky time for these 3 guys down there below. But whether those 3 can catch up to the top guys or not is the question. But Charlie, you got to give it to him. He's done brilliantly this race to hold it up top. To battle away with George, to not lose any time. Yes, he's had Harry there, but still, he's done a brilliant drive on his own.
Yeah, I mean Charlie. He's coped so brilliantly in the qualifying, in these laps that he's had so far. He's coped so well, and I think with Preston, when he wasn't able to perform in qualifying, I think the nerves and it started getting to him. I think it really it just settled in that it could potentially not be a second World Drivers' Championship for the man in white.
And whether he'll come back next season more determined to win the second in season 4 is another question. I mean, again, you have the variables of Carl, you have Charlie, Harry, a lot of capable drivers ready and willing to win a championship. I would even say Callum and Bradley as well, and potentially Jamie. We've seen all of them are very capable of winning. They just need to make it consistent, like Charlie and Preston have. And you've got a World Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about consistency. Consistency is the key. It's the key to most stuff, and if you can be consistent with something, you can be good at something, and it's just the way it goes, really. And if you're good in one race, bad in the next couple, and then good, where's your format? Because, that's basically you saying that I can't really do those tracks, but, and then you do bad and then it affects them. And I think, you can't have that, really, to be honest with you, because you need to be consistent with most things you do. If you want to go out and win a Drivers' World Championship, it's taking Charlie, about a season and more than a half to come back here in the DFL to do what he's done. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't say Charlie would have been the best of drivers back in season 1, and I didn't really know much about Charlie when he first came into the season 3, and I didn't know he started in seasons 1. I just thought he was just a brand new driver to the DFL, so he was found. But no, I mean, he's been here before, and he didn't have the bestest times in seasons 1, and this man, he's really changed. I mean, the fact he's gone from not being able to probably complete races DNFing to leading a World Drivers' Championship from probably start to finish, that is more than a step up. That is literally like spending 3 years of your life committed to doing something and then getting good at something. And even though it's not 3 years, I'm saying that's like spending a lot of time and being able to dedicate yourself to become better and working on every track to, make them your strengths and not to make them your weaknesses. And I think that's what's made Charlie the best driver of the season. I think if there was a vote, I would personally put my vote on Charlie. I mean, Charlie has been the best driver all season. He's led the championship comfortably at times when he thought, all right, all I need to do is finish races, score podiums consistency, and I could be good. And then it started falling through the cracks a little bit, and it fell through the floor, and then it came down to here. And in Brazil, I thought Preston was sort of living out there rent free in Charlie's head, getting to him. And Preston, he showed pure dominance out in Brazil. Don't get me wrong, Preston showed nothing but dominance in what he's capable of and what he's able to do. Preston literally went out with nothing but pure determination to win that race, and he had one thing set in his mind and one thing only, and that was to win the race and bring the championship gap close. And it didn't have to be that way. I mean, Charlie could have easily finished on the podium on that race, but he didn't. He made those mistakes, got back up, and still finished the race in the top 5. And that's something that's really, and I've said this all season about Charlie, that he's been so consistent when he's made a mistake but gotten back up from it, because he knows that he has the pace to get past. So, I mean, I'm not surprised if Charlie goes out here today and wins the championship. This is what he does. This is what he's been doing all season, and this is what he will continue to do until the day he stops doing DFL.
Very true. Just to put it lightly, as I said earlier, it's the ultimate redemption story, isn't it?
It quite literally is a redemption story from the man that literally wasn't even probably the best. Probably, no offense to Jamie, probably the Jamie of the sport maybe at times, has come back to be like Carl and Preston combined.
Very true, and show his true dominance, and that is why I can't wait till next season to see the likes of George and Charlie and Carl and maybe even Preston again, all going at it for the championship. You as well. Yeah. Like, and I genuinely think, of course, Callum, Jamie and Bradley there as well, who could potentially have a great battle in mid-table, even bring it to the top flight if they're consistent enough, which we know they can be. It's just whether it goes right for them or not.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if there's one man that got given the most unluckiest award of the season, like the driver with the most unluckiest luck, it would be given to Harry. And I feel for Harry because he's been there every season. He's been in the championship fight towards at the start of every season, and then he always seems to have dropped off. And you have to look. There's a repetition there from Harry, and if he wants to really go out next season, and truly wants to go out there next season and make it his redemption story of becoming a Drivers' World Championship.
Exactly.
And he will have to look at where he's gone wrong. He will have to look at, right, where am I going wrong? At times, there's things that I cannot help. There's situations like Britain. That was not his fault. Maybe Brazil wasn't his fault. Preston was given the penalty, which means Harry was not at fault. But either way, you have to look at this man's luck throughout the season. The amount of times this man, Jeddah, can't name the times, Britain, Baku, towards the first half of the season, this man had the most dumbest, unluckiest luck ever.
Very true, and I think he's had it all 3 seasons now. Look at it. Season 1, he was winning races, and then he got unlucky in some, and he wasn't in the title battle. Season 2, he was in the title battle. It came to Abu Dhabi. He slipped out and he crashed it again. Unluckiness once again. And now comes season 3, and he's had it all season. He's had unluckiness after unluckiness, and you got feel for the guy. Honestly, I genuinely think he is World Drivers' Championship material. But it's just that I don't know what he's done wrong, but it's the karma bringing him down.
At times, you really can't blame the car. I mean, you have to really look at self-performance and think, right, I need to be harsh on myself. What am I doing wrong personally? I mean, I can't be all biased about myself, like, oh, I'm good in every single shape of the way, because no one is. I'm sure Charlie, he will look at himself, right. Sometimes I might get a bit too happy and go over the curb a bit too much and spin, or I might get a bit ambitious at times and try and make a move when I shouldn't. Or for me, it's sometimes I'm a bit too trigger happy on the throttle, and I might go too wide into a corner that would cost me, I don't know, tenths upon seconds. I mean, you have to really look at self performance and where can I improve overall? Where can I find that performance where I need to be making that work, or where do I need to be pushing when, you know, I'm not finding that time? Like, it's all about pushing yourself to the limits, and if you can't see yourself pushing yourself to the limits fully, then you can't really do much, because you have to be able to, first of all, push the car as hard as you can, but knowing where the limit is. With Harry, I think at times, you know, he could have been in this World Championship very much. I mean, at the start of the season, he had a podium in P3. Spain he didn't attend, fine, that's fair enough. He had things to attend to, we totally get that. But then it sort of dragged on for him a little bit. I think sometimes he made some self-errors, and then sometimes it was people driving around him that made the errors that caused him to have that a horrible incident or something like that, you know. And, you know, at times, like, well, you know, there's nothing I can do there. I'm taking my line, you know, there's no point me backing out when I'm already in front or something like that, you know. So, at times, I think just Harry will probably, if he really wants to go for it next season, like I said, he will have to look at what he is doing wrong. Or, at times, what can he be doing better?
Very true, and I cannot wait to see what Harry can achieve in Season 4, to be honest. It'll be an exciting prospect for us all to watch, you know. The redemption story of the most unluckiest guy in the DFL. Will we see that? Will we not? Who knows? But we talk about unluckiness. You can't not mention the likes of, you know, Jamie, and potentially a bit of Callum as well. You know, Callum's got a bit unlucky at times, you know, not to get the win when he's led a race, you know, not to get a podium, and especially Jamie as well. He's got so unlucky within these 3 seasons. Yes, he's caused a few collisions here and there, but some of them he's just got unlucky.
Yeah, I mean, with Jamie, it's the same with George, and it's the same with Bradley. They're all 3 of them are similarities in ways. George, like, this is me not being biased because George is my friend. I'm saying this out of pure factual evidence proven through the season. You know, George is more like Preston and Charlie at times. If he falls, he is going to get straight back up and he will rise back to the top. And you know George will. You know, in Canada, okay, fine. He's already disputed to me that Canada is not a strength track of his. He does not like Canada. So it's fair enough. I mean, but, you know, at times when he's had incidences, like in just Abu Dhabi at times 15, you know, he had his incident, but he still got back up and rose back to the top, and look. And that's what you need to be able to do. I mean, with Bradley and Jamie, those guys need to really be able to pick themselves back up and stop playing a pity story for themselves, because it will only drag them down one path, and that was keep making mistakes, and then the pressure builds up and builds up and builds up and builds up, and just so much pressure on to the point where they will make those mistakes because of, like, well, I need to perform, I need to bring in good results. And then that's where it all goes wrong for them. It's because the pressure builds up for themselves, and, you know, they're not able to pull themselves back together. And it was, you know, Bradley showed goodwill and determination. You know, Netherlands, he was catching up Preston's on the banking in the final corner, and he spun it on one of the curbs, on the inside curb. And even then, you know, he got back up and won the race. Even though the fact that Preston was on low fuel mode, he was consistent. If he didn't pick himself back up, that would have been George's win. George could have picked up that win. But no, Bradley picked himself back up and kept on driving, because he knew that he was fast and he knew he could be on a podium at least. Even if he wasn't getting the win, he thought, well, I'm going to get a podium this race. This is a good result. You know, for any rookie, like not Jamie, for any result for like a rookie like Bradley, you know, coming into first season, he's got a win, he's got a pole, he's got a podium, he's got it all this season, apart from the championship, which is, you know, fair enough. No one was expecting you to come in this season and win the championship. No one expects you to do that. All you just need is self-belief in yourself. Everyone in the league could tell you you are absolute horseshit and still go on to beat them all. And, you know, for me, if anyone tells me I'm bad, I'm just going to eat that stuff up, and I eat that stuff for breakfast. Because that will fuel me just to prove them more that I can do better. You know, it is having that sort of mindset where you know you can do better, and you know you're good, and you know that you don't need someone to tell you if you're good or bad. You know, their opinion on what you can do is completely irrelevant. Because if they're saying one thing and you're saying, nah, I don't need you to tell me that I'm going to do bad. Like, I'm going to go on and win this race, you know. That's the kind of mindset you need to be coming in with every race. When Charlie gets into the car, and when he he does his opening lap in the qualifying of each and every single weekend, this man has one thing set. He has tunnel vision, where he only has one thing set for him, and that was just go out and get the best possible result. I don't even think that he goes out like every race is like, right, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win. That's it. If I don't get a win, that's it. Like you know, this man will go out each and every single weekend, and he will go on with a mindset of like, I'm gonna come out with the best possible result I can in today's race.
Very, very true, and I think it's all the same for Jamie, for Bradley. You know, for both of them. They don't go in with that mindset that they need to win. They go in with a mindset of, I'm going to do my best. And that's all I can do. If I win, great. If I don't, I've still done my best. And I can improve on my mistakes. And that's what they both do. And then they show their class. And we're all impressed by it. Because they're showing what they can truly do when they set their minds to it. You know.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting, and you know, to see Jamie and Bradley especially get those points, get those wins. You know, both of them have one win each now, and just to see that is brilliant. You know, I mean, we talk about someone else, though, Callum. You know, people say Callum has dropped off. Even he says he's dropped off. I don't think he has. I don't think he's got worse. I think the competition has got better. We brought in the likes of Charlie, the likes of George, you know, and I think that's what's happened. The competition has got better. He hasn't got worse. He's just not. He's not been able to keep up with the new competition. But I think that's the way you improve. You bring in new competition. You find better ways to get better times, and I think it's a slow process for Callum to get better. And although he doesn't see himself getting better, I think you can agree he's been Mr. Consistent this season. He's consistently scored points, except for the ones he didn't come in to at first. But ever since he started, I'm pretty sure he's scored points every race.
Yeah, I mean, we was talking to not Preston, we was talking to Callum earlier, like you said, and, you know, he was saying that it's we've got so many drivers now, but it's so unclear who's gonna to get a win, and, you know, that's the way you want to have it. You don't want the same person week in, week out, challenging for one position, and you be like, oh, well, I don't have a chance for that. You know, with the likes of me coming in next season, you've got Daniel, we've got Carl coming back, you know. We've got so many people in this league now that have the talent to go out and prove that they could probably go out and win, you know. and it's gotten to the point now where there's so many of us that, like Callum has said, are clear for like Preston or Charlie would be so unclear at times because they've got the competition around him, and I think it's gonna only get the season 4 is only gonna get better from there because I still feel like it's gonna be interesting on how it pans out. I still think that the season will unravel as we keep on going through, and I think you'll get to see what it's really like midway through season, or maybe towards the end of the season. And I hope for the next season's sake, I hope that we have more than just we've had George, we've had Preston, we've had Charlie, we've had Harry, we have had Jamie, we have had Bradley win. That is 6 winners out of all the drivers we have had so far. Carl was still yet to get a win. Callum still yet to get a win. Those are the only 2 drivers on this grid currently that are still out to get a win. Which, I mean, I hope for Callum's sake, I hope that he's able to come back next season, find the form of seasons 1 and 2, and just pick up from there. Because honestly, it like I said, there's nothing wrong with having newer competition that's a little bit better than you at times. You need that now. If you don't have a new challenge every day, it's only going to become easier and easier because you know how to beat that same person day in, day out. You need that challenge every day to really make yourself have self-realization that, oh right, shoot, I need to maybe to learn some new techniques on how to brake now, or do I learn how to keep my foot on the throttle that bit more whilst going through corners, but while still achieving a bit more speed and going through and finding ways to become faster and faster, and finding those techniques, finding new techniques with double shifting, or trail braking, or even something to do with throttle, I have to say, all of that pattern that works towards making you faster overall. Personally, for me, everyone says that when you play with no assists, you become faster. And, that is truly the case. If you play with no assists, you are truly faster. And, if you play without ABS on, you're always going to have that sensation, oh, I can turn into that corner. But the only problem with that is that you have a slower exit out of the corner though, and that's the problem, because you're slowing your speed down whilst you're still braking through the turn. Now with the ABS, you're able to you have to apply the brakes a little bit earlier, but what's good about it is it practically allows you to get a better exit out of that corner.
Absolutely. And it goes to show that, different assists can help you in some ways, but they can also give you a disadvantage, and it's about finding that middle ground between what assists you need and what assists you don't need, and what assists you can kind of practice towards to learn that you don't need them anymore, and it is an interesting one. And Callum, hopefully, as you say, comes out and gets a win next season and everything, and returns back to what his glory days, shall we say that. But who knows. But you mentioned it before very quickly. We have the likes of Carl returning, Daniel coming in. I mean, Jake's basically a new driver. He's only started in 2 races this season, so basically a new driver, and Jake as well. These 2 new people, plus Carl returning, how is that going to shake things up?
Well, like I said before, I said maybe if Carl wasn't here, I would maybe be thrown into the mix of the championship. And that's purely because I know where my skill level is at. I've raced with George, I've raced with Carl, and I know that those 2 will have a nice scrap for next year. George and Carl, I have to say, it could be between George and Carl next year. But if George is consistent though, and that's the thing, if George can stay consistent enough, I reckon George could literally go and win the championship next year. And that is no, like, that's not me being biased. I mean, I know that might seem a bit hard to believe because he's my mate and all that. But in all fairness, I still think that he can. He's shown the potential. He's shown after being one race down, he came in and beat Charlie and led the championship. I mean, you know, what much more can you learn from that? You know, George literally went on to lead the championship in his first race, took pole, took the win, and took the race win. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. With Cole thrown into the mix next year, it's going to be interesting. Especially how it's going to pan out between Charlie, George, Preston. You know, it could potentially be a 5-way battle, maybe even 6 at the start. You have to let it see how it works out at the beginning. No one knows is like, oh yeah, George is going to go out and win it. Oh yeah, Preston's going to win the first race of the season. No one is going to be able to predict who's going to win the first race of the season. All we could for know, Callum could be winning the first race of the season. Jamie, Bradley, myself. I mean, you know, you're looking at people who have won in the past. You're not looking at people who could have the potential to go out and win. That's what people seem to always underestimate.
Very, very true. And season 4 is going to be an utter madness. Just to put it that way, it will be an utter madness. And I hope you are all ready, to be honest. But I know we kind of ruled it out as a possibility.
No fucking way! It's a safety car, and this has changed this race head upside down, and I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it 1 second.
This is a literal Jamie situation from season 1 all over again, when he was 30 seconds in front of Preston and Callum, and then all of a sudden a safety car hits, and he's done in. Charlie and George, Charlie could be done in here. Preston could take advantage of this. Charlie needs to get a brilliant getaway from this to evade Preston. Harry needs to work to defend off Preston. This brings it all together, and this throws everything we said out of the window. This championship is back on.
Yeah, I mean, don't get it wrong now. I think Preston, so I don't actually know what Preston's on. So he's on the hard, so he'll probably end up pitting this race to go on the mediums. I think that, yeah, so for some reason, Charlie's gone on the softs, but it will probably be about 6 to 7 laps left before the end of the race. So the question is, will Preston pit now? He does not. He will stay out, and that is a very risky decision from the man who is still on to win the championship. And Harry, you know, he's on the mediums, so maybe we do not know how this will pan out, but this can only get interesting from here. And this is quite literally a repeat of 2021, and I cannot stress it anymore, but I really wanted this championship to go down into Abu Dhabi, but never would I have predicted in a million years. I had some form of hope. I had like, oh, there might be some late safety car, but you know, it looked quite uncertain at times. And look what has happened. Anything is quite literally possible in the world of Formula 1, and this has quite literally brought Preston back to life.
Very true, and I'm sure Harry will be looking to help out Charlie in any way possible to defend off Preston in any way he can. Can Harry successfully hold off Preston once again? It's going to be interesting. We don't want to see another collision, but we want to see nice, clean racing between these two. Will we get that? Will we see Preston make it past? Will we see Harry bring out the Minister of Defence? These are the questions you have to ask, people, because you just do not know.
The odds were quite literally stacked up against Preston, and now they quite literally could be on Preston's side. We do not know, as Preston is on the hard, and this is quite literally Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen's situation right now.
Absolutely, and it genuinely all comes down to this now. You know, we both thought the championship was over. We both thought Charlie had taken it. You know, not doubting Preston's skill, brilliant driver, but we thought the odds were impeccably stacked against him. He has come straight back up, and now it's a safety car. His light has been relit. Will he take this chance?
I'm sure he will take this chance if Harry can hurry up. He seems to be going slow, so this could be quite literally. I mean, Harry could be probably getting penalised here because, you know, he'll probably be asked to catch up as soon as he can. But he is catching the safety car at a rate of knots through the section, so I don't actually think that it's actually that bad. But this will help Preston out in a way because it'll be able to help warm his tyres up that bit more.
Absolutely. Whilst Charlie will be having cold, soft tyres that can warm impeccably quickly, Preston will be having slightly warm, hard tyres that take forever to warm up. So it's gonna be truly a finish like we've never seen before, I believe. Of course, Preston now on probably like 20 lap-old hards. Charlie on like 2 lap-old softs, 1 lap-old. I can't remember how many laps it's been since he pitted. Of course, it was start of safety car, wasn't it? But it's going to be a very interesting finish to this finale.
Yeah, it definitely is going to have the most interesting race finish we have ever seen in the history books of DFL. And I'm sure it will only get more spicier from here, as obviously lap cars are still a factor into this right now. George is separated by 3 safety lap cars at the moment. So George has a nice gap between him and Charlie right now, but Charlie has to clear 3 lap cars, and I think Preston has to clear Harry, and then he is on to the man who's led the championship all season long, the man that we thought was going to potentially walk away with this championship. And I quite literally said, you know, this can be very interesting. I said, like, the case of that Charlie dominating this race, and then a safety car happens.
And what we've, like, probably 9 laps we'll have of racing, I cannot call this. Both are impeccably good drivers. You have Harry standing in the middle of both of them to potentially hold off Preston. You cannot write this. You cannot seriously predict how this is going to end. And with the safety car in, George once again leading the pack, making sure to take it nice and slow so he gets a good getaway and no one else does. Charlie will be held up by 3 AIs that will be blue flagged, but he still has to get past them. Harry, of course, has 1 AI in front of him between him and Charlie, which he will be thankful for because I'm sure he'll be wanting to put whatever he can between Preston and Charlie. But the safety car is in and we are away. Once again, George gets a brilliant getaway. Charlie is trying all he can. Harry is getting past all the AIs as well. And now Preston is after Harry for all he can push for. Can Preston push for this? Truly enough. All the lap cars are out the way. All guys are close together and Preston may have an opportunity here. Tried to look down the inside but was not lucky enough to push for it. But now trying again with the ERS. What will he do? He's looking on the outside of Harry and he may get the overtake here, going wheel to wheel into the corner, and he gets the overtake done. Harry goes wide there, but Harry pushes back through on the inside and gets the overtake done. But Preston pushes through again and goes on the inside of Harry and gets the overtake. He's up to P3 now.
Preston is quite literally on the move now. He is only 1 position behind his championship rival. Harry's gone round. This has quite literally been turned this race upside down. Upside down. I can't speak right now. This is only getting exciting. But the thing is, will George be able to hold off Preston long enough to let Preston catch up and possibly overtake him for the championship? This is crucial. If George can hold Preston up, this is going to get spicy, and I quite literally mean this, as Preston is 3.7 seconds behind his championship rival right now. Charlie, can Preston catch up to Charlie? We will not know until the 8 laps left of this race.
You now have to think to yourself, should Preston have pitted? Was that the wise decision for Preston to pit for new softs? Because it seems like Charlie is getting away with the new softs.
He also has George to get past as well, so let's not forget George. George will play a massive factor into the championship decision here in tonight's race, and you can already see that the gap went from 4.7 to 4.4, and in a matter of corners, will Preston be able to push hard enough on those 21 lap hards and be able to catch up to Charlie, or will Charlie hold off in tonight's race, and will he be able to be crowned champion? We will not know. With 8 laps left of this race, the gap between Preston and Charlie is 5 seconds right now.
It seems to be that Charlie's softs are outpacing Preston, and now Charlie seems to be looking for the overtake on George. Can he get the P1 position here? Can he take this? He's looking on the inside of George, and he gets the overtake done, but George is fighting back. George is not letting this P1 position go, but Charlie's in front. Charlie's taken that P1 position now.
Yeah, but he has George, who's quite well, he's not literally the fastest man on track anymore, because that's Charlie now. But George is quite literally still fast, still quite quick through certain sections. That Harry is, that Charlie isn't, sorry. But George will open up DRS. Will George be able to make a move onto Charlie, onto this slow corner following ahead? We do not know. George will sit behind him for this very moment. We will not know. But at the moment, George will just sit behind him and wait for this next opportunity of DRS that he has coming up right now. And Harry, I don't know why I keep saying Harry, but Charlie seems to be slow through this section. George quite literally faster now. Will George go around the outside, or will he just sit through? He goes slightly wider into that corner to try and carry that more speed through this banking. And he'll just have to hold off that bit more now. But George, he has to turn on these burners. Obviously, Charlie has those newer softs, but George is still quite quick.
George is trying to push all he can to take back this P1, but it may not be enough because of Charlie's new softs. Charlie can absolutely push to the top speed he can achieve here.
It looks like Charlie's looking quite good right now in terms of position and what's going on around him, you know. But will George be able to get this DRS down into the turn 5 hairpin? We will not know. It does seem that he will achieve that DRS this lap on Charlie, but the question is, will he be able to use it on him effectively?
George will be hoping for it with the DRS open now, not using ERS, but trying all he can to hunt down Charlie. But Charlie just has too big of a gap that George cannot catch up. This is almost reminiscent of Singapore when George was ahead, but Preston, due to a safety car from Jamie, Preston took the win and George went quite far down. Of course, he's not gone as far down this time, but still, the symbolic nature of both races is there.
Yeah, this is quite looking. Preston is losing so much time to these two, and he's already lost about like 2 seconds now, and it's not looking good for Preston. The man who we all thought that it was looking good for him when that safety car came out, but at the moment it's not looking that way at this moment.
Absolutely not. Again, should Preston have pitted? Would that be my better choice?
He did have the luxury to pit, but he thought that either pitting could have left him too far down on that grid, which he probably didn't feel that he wanted to take that risk on. But it's a risk he should have taken, as it could potentially cost him in tonight's race and the championship as well.
Absolutely. Preston will be devastated that he was not able to catch up to Charlie. But I got you. You got to face the facts. Is this Charlie's title now?
I mean, you know, it's not over yet. We've still got 5 laps, so anything could happen to Charlie. Anything can happen, you know, with these last laps remaining. With 5 laps remaining left of this race, it is looking quite interesting with the balance of the championship favouring Charlie at this current moment in time. And where it's going, and it seems to be Charlie who's been able to break that 1 second still gap, and now he is up into the lead, still maintaining the lead since after that safety car restart. That he's looking good with those new tyres, or semi new tyres he has on. He seems so much quicker than the rest of the grid.
Absolutely, Charlie has just kept pushing and pushing and getting all the pace he can out of the tyres, not letting anything up, not taking a moment's peace, not allowing himself to think, right, I've got this, I've won this. No, he wants to push until the very end to secure it.
Yeah, George, though, he seemed to have gained a lot of time in this section where Charlie isn't seeming to face, well, is losing that time, should I say, and it seems for some reason that Charlie is losing a lot of time on this straight, and I do not know why. Maybe that is setup choice and what he's gone for, and maybe a more highly focused downforce setup and is what he wants, because it sure seems that he gains a lot of times through the a lot more bender and slow speed corners, or medium speed corners, should I say, as the gap between George and Charlie is only 0.8 tenths of a second.
But Charlie keeps on pushing throughout the corners he can get the most pace out of, so when it comes to a time where George can catch up, the gap is way too big for him to do much.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely isn't not looking good for George to probably take back this win from Charlie at this moment in time, but he is seeming a lot quicker where Charlie isn't, so this seems to be somewhat better for George, as the gap is only 0.5 tenths, or half a second separating between these two men racing on this fine racetrack. And as they head down into turns 5 now, into their hairpin, will George be able to get out in front, or use a more effective use of that DRS on Charlie down this straight, following him with it into a chicane with slow corners?
George is trying and trying to push to overtake Charlie, but is he pushing enough? Are those mediums just too slow compared to the red softs on Charlie's car? It's a battle that takes in every single variable that you can muster, about setup, about tyres, about every single little thing. Can George just push that little bit more to take back that P1 position, or is it all over for him?
No, I mean, it's not over until the fat lady sings. Obviously, there's not much left of this race to go. I think after this it'll be like 2 to 3 laps left of racing around the Yas Marina circuit in tonight's race. But it's you know, oh, George has been spun. He's spun himself round, and now George is giving up this chance to win, and this could mean this is all over in tonight's race, where the man who went from seasons 1 to now with little to no experience racing in the league, and then fighting in seasons 1 and not having a good time and leaving the league, has come down to this. The moments he has been waiting for, the nights he has dreamt for, and this very moment could be coming sooner than he anticipated.
As I said earlier, the ultimate redemption story may be complete here for Charlie. He may finally get his hands on a World Drivers' Championship. That is something that he will be celebrating tonight for sure, and he will be going for next season. I'm sure a second time World Drivers' Championship, maybe, you know, there's 2 people, 3 people next season who could possibly make that happen now if Charlie takes home the championship tonight, which is looking even more likely the closer we come to the end of the race.
Yeah, and with about 2 laps left of racing, you know, it's looking a bit more certain, a bit more clearly now, where that blurry vision that they had in front of him was once not so clear, is now looking ever so much more clearly for the man leading this race, and can now probably go on to equal the amount of wins and championships in the same night. This is all possible if he can stay composed.
Alright then, but can Charlie truly take this home? I mean, I think you have to admit it's his. Unless he spins out, unless something goes wrong now, it's his for the taking. And, you know, the fact, as you said, he's come from the beginning, it was an OG. He struggled at the start, he went away, he got better and better. He's come back now in Season 3, proved his dominance, battled away with many other drivers, George and Preston included, and showed why he is the best of the best in Season 3. Whether that will come true again in Season 4, who knows, but we do approach the final lap of the race now. Charlie will be enjoying this last lap now.
Yeah, definitely. With 3.2 miles of this man has always got to complete 3 2-point miles before he can be crowned a world champion. A man who's absolutely thoroughly deserved the championship all season long. The man that has come from nothing to being the man that's been the person who's been talked about all season long. It's Charlie who's done so well, and George only now just catching up, and it's a shame to see these two not be fighting away for the final lap. But that won't matter, despite even if he finishes above pressure or finishes just in front of him, you know, Charlie will still be crowned the world championship if he can stay composed through this back straight and in the banking into turn 9. This man has been the most composed, the best driver with the fastest pace at times, and showed determination, will, and absolute resilience against all the odds he's had to face, with all the decisions and everything he's had to face, with all the crashes, with all the controversy he has seen all season long, as he enters the final few corners, as he was the Constructors Champion, and he rounds the final corner to be the third driver to be a champion in the DFL, and now is the 3rd person to do so. Preston left in disaster and left in disappointment that he was not able to grab that 2nd world title tonight. Charlie, though, is able to equal Preston in the amount of wins this season and the amount of titles. These two both were absolutely brilliant this season. It came down to the final lap for Charlie, and all he had to do was stay composed for the remaining of that 3.2 miles, and now is a world champion. And now he can thoroughly take that pressure off his shoulders and go into next season with his head held high, with nothing but determination to make that extension in the championship even further. Preston was denied of another championship, and the pace of his and some of the choices he made let him down.
Absolutely, Charlie will be loving the fact that he has won the World Drivers' Championship. He is among the 3 people now to hold the championship: Preston, Carl, and now Charlie. He will be going down in the history books.
So here we go, the champion himself, Charlie, the man who came from nothing in Season 1 to be something in Season 3, finally steps on Abu Dhabi's podium for the first time with the win and the crown that he finally deserved. If there was ever a trophy for Preston and Charlie, it'd be for those two here tonight. But it came down to who wanted it more, and clearly Charlie had it all.
Absolutely. He has shown his class, determination. He has not stopped. He's been resilient all season, and he's proved why he is champion.
Here you go. Here is your leaderboard. The champion himself, Charlie, in P1. In P2, George. Preston, P3. Callum with a brilliant recovery drive up into P4. Carl, P7. Harry down to P12. And then if we look down just a bit further, Jamie finished in P17 with a DNF. Bradley DNF'd in P18. And then that was it. Unless I've missed anyone, which I don't think I have. And that was it for Season 3, everybody. We'll see you in Seasons 4.
See you then, people.